So get this. What if a story from like 2,500 years ago actually holds the secret to mastering our most modern distractions? It sounds kind of wild, right? Well, today we're unpacking an ancient parable that delivers a powerful, and I mean powerful, masterclass on desire, distraction, and transformation.
But first, let me ask you something. What is it that pulls you away from what you really want to be doing? What's that one thing you just can't seem to shake? For so many of us, it's that endless, almost magnetic pull of our phones, that constant nagging urge to just keep scrolling.
Now, the word this ancient story uses is lust. And yeah, sure, that can mean intense sexual desire, but it also means any very strong desire for something. And that's really our focus today, that powerful, compulsive energy that can totally derail our focus, whether it's for a person, a thing, or that little glowing screen in your pocket. Okay, so our story takes place about 2,500 years ago in the kingdom of Vaishali, India. And it revolves around two people who could not possibly be more different. The most desired woman in the entire world, and a young, totally anonymous monk.
Meet Amrapali. She wasn't just beautiful. Her beauty was legendary. I mean, it was said that she was, without a doubt, the most beautiful woman on the face of the earth.
And her beauty? It gave her immense power. We're talking kings and emperors waiting for hours just for a moment of her time. Her allure was so potent that it once caused two princes to get into a violent fight over her. So, to prevent a full-blown war, the king had to make a really drastic decision. He declared Amrapali the bride of the city. This basically made her a public treasure, owned by everyone and by no one. She was given palaces, silks, servants, literally every luxury you can imagine. But in exchange, she lost the one thing money couldn't buy, her dignity. Every single man who looked at her saw a prize, an object, and day by day, she felt less and less human. And then one afternoon, everything changed. She's standing on her balcony, and she sees a group of monks walking down the street. The crowds are shouting her name, pointing up at her. But one young monk, he doesn't even look up. He just keeps walking, completely serene, totally undisturbed by the chaos. And that immediately got her attention. She was so intrigued, she rushed down to greet him. The young monk stopped, he bowed respectfully, and then he met her eyes with this simple, calm smile. And in that one smile, something just shifted inside her. For the first time in years, she wasn't an object, she wasn't a fantasy, she was a person. He gave her a gift of dignity that no king's treasure ever could. She was so moved by this simple act of humanity that Amrapali did something completely unheard of. She invited the young monk to stay in her palace as her personal guest for the entire 4-month rainy season. That's a time when monks would stop traveling and stay in one place to meditate. The monk's response was just as calm as his smile. He said he couldn't accept without getting permission from his teacher, the Buddha. Well, when news of this invitation reached the monastery, it caused an uproar. The senior monks were outraged. I mean, how could a monk possibly stay in the palace of that woman? But when the young monk made his request, the Buddha's decision shocked everyone. He looked right into the young monk's eyes and gave his blessing. And to the others, he said, "Let him go. If our meditation has any real power, nothing will happen. This will be his test." And so, for 4 long months, the monk lived in Amrapali's palace. Back at the monastery, the gossip was just relentless. Everyone assumed the young man was lost, that he'd caved to temptation and would be way too ashamed to ever show his face again. But then, at the very end of the rainy season, the monastery gates opened. In walked the young monk. The other monks were absolutely stunned to see him, but they were even more stunned to see who was following right behind him. It was Amrapali. Her head was shaved, she was dressed in simple robes, and she had this look of just profound peace on her face. She had given away her palace, her wealth, everything to become a nun. The entire place was silent. Jaws were on the floor. So I'm sure you're asking the same thing they were. How? How on earth did this young monk not only survive the world's greatest temptation, but completely transform it? Well, later on, sitting in front of all the other monks, he explained exactly what happened. He started by saying, "I will not lie to you. I will tell you everything." And then he made 5 confessions about his internal struggle. But these weren't confessions of failure. Oh no, They were a roadmap of his victory.
And what's so fascinating is that these 5 confessions lay out a perfect 5-step masterclass for dealing with any powerful emotion or desire, from a huge temptation all the way down to that little urge to check your phone.
All right, so let's break this down. First up, step 1, self-awareness. The monk just observed his feelings, no judgment. When Amrapali was near, he didn't panic. He just noted, okay, my heart is beating fast, my thoughts are scattered. Next, step 2, he learned not to suppress. He admitted that at first, he tried to fight the desire, but that only made it way stronger. Suppression, he realized, is a losing game. This led right to step 3, redirect. So instead of fighting that energy, he channeled it. When desire came up, he'd redirect that juice into a simple physical task, like cleaning the room or focusing on his breath. Then came the real game changer. Step 4, reframe. He stopped seeing Amrapali as an object of desire and started seeing her as a person. He talked to her, he listened to her story, he understood her pain. And finally, this all led to step 5, find a purpose. His desire transformed. He no longer wanted her for himself. His new purpose was to help her find the peace and dignity that he already had. And this just perfectly illustrates the power of that 4th step. His initial frame was Amrapali, the beautiful temptation. But once he really listened to her, his frame totally shifted to Amrapali, the suffering human being. He saw the loneliness behind her eyes, the pain of being treated like a thing, and when he genuinely felt her suffering, his desire was replaced by something else entirely, compassion. The whole dynamic just flipped on its head.
So, the huge takeaway from this entire story, the great secret the monk discovered, isn't about getting rid of desire. It's about something so much more powerful.
Look, the goal is not to become some kind of robot with no feelings at all. It's to learn how to take the raw, powerful energy of desire, or restlessness, or even anger, and transform it. To turn the fire that could burn you down into the fuel that drives you toward a higher purpose. The monk didn't destroy his energy, he just gave it a new, better direction. And this brings us to the ultimate lesson here, which was stated so beautifully by the Buddha himself after he heard the monk's story. He told everyone that while they were so afraid of Amrapali, what they were really afraid of were their own hidden desires. The true victory isn't conquering the world outside you, but the world inside you. And so that leaves us with one final question. That distraction you feel, that compulsion, that constant pull. What if you stopped fighting it and started transforming it? What fire inside of you is just waiting to become fuel?